guys, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for watching. So I am super excited for today's video. This is a video I've been working on for several weeks now, and I am going to be comparing and reviewing 6 different cruelty-free sunscreens, all of which retail for under $20, with one slight exception, but you'll see what I mean. So I have 6 of them here in front of me. I've been testing them all out. I'm going to rank these in order from my least favorite to my favorite. The things that I'm going to be sharing about each sunscreen are the cost and the cost per ounce, which stores and retailers carry them, whether or not they're chemical or mineral, and what the active ingredients are. Now, I did get a few requests to talk specifically about reef-safe sunscreens and to let you know which ones are and are not. To my knowledge, all the ones I'm going to talk about today are indeed reef safe. All but one of them are mineral sunscreens, and the chemical sunscreen that I have does not contain oxybenzone. So to my knowledge, these are all reef safe. Now, I'm not an expert on that, so please do let me know if I'm wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, these are all reef safe because there is no oxybenzone in any of them. So what the active ingredients are, what the application is like, how easy are they to blend in, do they have a white cast? What is the finish? How do they behave under makeup? And then if there's a scent, and if there are any fragrance ingredients involved. And I'll kind of share with you, who I think each one would be best for. And some of them, even though I really like them, they might not be best for other people. So I'm gonna kind of try to tailor my reviews and let you know the best I can which ones I think would work for you and which ones might not, depending on your skin type, your skin tone. And I will have some demo clips. You'll see the application, you'll see what they look like after they've settled into my skin for 10 minutes, and then you'll see what they look like with my foundation, concealer, and powder on top. And I did keep that combination of products the same each time. So the foundation that I used is the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. That's my personal favorite foundation, so I wanted to kind of keep that consistent. The concealer is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer, and the powder is just a light dusting of the Milani Conceal and Perfect Shine Proof Powder. Oh, and I set my under eyes with the e.l.f. HD Under Eye Powder. So I tried to keep the makeup products that you're seeing on my skin consistent each time, so hopefully, you won't wonder, well, is the glowiness due to the foundation or what? And then before applying each sunscreen, the only skincare I did was cleanse my face. I didn't do any kind of serums or oils or other moisturizers underneath. I wanted to show you just what they look like as a standalone daytime moisturizer, because that's kind of what I prefer in a sunscreen, is for it to be able to stand alone. So I have a lot to cover. Let's go ahead and get started with my least favorite of the bunch. My least favorite one was the Derma E Sun Defense Mineral Oil-Free Sunscreen. This has broad spectrum SPF 30. I really thought I was gonna love this one, and it is truly unwearable for me. So this sunscreen retails for $19.75. Now, of course, depending on where you buy it, it might be cheaper on like Vitacost or something, but for the sake of calculating like the cost per ounce, I'm just going off of the full retail price just to keep things consistent. So retails for $19.75, you get 2 ounces of product, so the cost per ounce is $9.88. I'm sure, of course, it varies locally depending on where you can find it in stores, but online you can find it at DRUGSTORE, on Vitacost's website, which is where I bought it, Walgreens, iHerb, and Amazon, and of course Derma E's website. This is a mineral sunscreen, and the active ingredient is just zinc oxide 20%. So a lot of mineral sunscreens have zinc and titanium dioxide. This is just a zinc oxide one. Where this really goes wrong is the application. This is one of those, this will pill terribly. The longer you rub it in, the more you will start to see those pills kind of come up. And I did try, and you'll see in the demo, I even tried patting it into my skin more than I was rubbing it in. And even that, it was just, you can't avoid that horrible like white pilling and flaking. And it's weird because at first it doesn't really have a white cast, like that's not the issue, it's just that it pills on top of itself. And keep in mind, I didn't have any products on underneath it that were interfering, it was just this product on its own. So it doesn't have a bad white cast, but the pilling I just can't get past. The finish is really neither matte nor greasy. It's kind of just right in the middle. Honestly, a really nice finish, and at first I thought I was gonna really like this, but then if it doesn't pill right away, it will start to pill throughout the day. I was afraid to test it under makeup because I was like, it already looks terrible without makeup on top of it, but the makeup really, it just pilled everywhere. It looked like my skin was peeling off. There were like weird orange streaks of makeup, which is weird because, you know, the products I was using don't normally do that. And I actually I removed my makeup immediately after filming that clip for the video because it just looked so bad. One really great thing about this is that it has no scent really, and it doesn't contain, at least as far as I can see, it doesn't seem to contain any fragrance, which is awesome, especially for people with sensitive skin. And so, you know, I really had high hopes for this, but it's just terrible. I suspect that the pilling, somebody told me that because it's a zinc only sunscreen, that's why it pills more. That, I guess that tends to happen a lot with zinc oxide only sunscreens, but this was just bad. It was unwearable, and it honestly kind of worries me that it flakes off like that because I wonder how effective it even is at protecting your skin from the sun if it's peeling off like that. Like, I imagine that means that wherever it's peeling off, there's gonna be like a gap from where the sunscreen came off. So I almost just wouldn't even want to wear this on my body because I don't know if it would be effective. So that was number 6. Number 5, this is my second least favorite or my 5th favorite of the 6. The Andalou Naturals Men SPF 30 Face Guard. This is also a mineral sunscreen, and the active ingredient once again is zinc oxide 20%. This one retails for $14.99 and you're getting 3.1 fluid ounces, which is a lot of product. So the cost per ounce is only $4.84, which is really affordable. In fact, this is actually the most affordable cost per ounce wise out of all 6 of the ones I'm talking about today. So that it has that going for it. This you can find, I bought this at my local grocery outlet store. They have a lot of Andalou Naturals, and that's actually where I bought another one of these too. They have a lot of cruelty-free skincare brands like this, and I got it for like $6 there because it's like an outlet store. You can also find it online at Amazon, Vitacost, Lucky Vitamin, and of course Andalou's website. So like I said, this is a mineral sunscreen and the active ingredient is just zinc oxide 20%. Application-wise, you'll see in the demo, this goes on very thick and very, very white. It takes a bit of work to really blend it into the skin, and once it blends in, the white cast does start to dissipate, but it doesn't really go away completely. Keep in mind, I mean, you can see right now, I have a pretty fair skin tone, and I find the white cast on this one to actually be the worst out of all the sunscreens I've tried. It's not like a completely opaque layer of whiteness, but it's just bad enough that it almost makes my teeth look a little bit yellow, and it makes kind of the skin around my eyes kind of orange looking. Now on days where I'm wearing makeup on top of it, it's better because of course the makeup kind of masks the look of that white cast, but on a no makeup day, I really don't like the way that this looks on my skin. I feel like it makes me look sickly, and it just doesn't look good, and I imagine if your skin tone is any deeper than mine, it's just gonna look even worse. It's also difficult to apply it around the hairline and the brows without getting like a white mess there, so I imagine that this wouldn't be really undesirable for anyone with facial hair. And I'm thinking like this is like designed for men. A lot of men have facial hair. I don't know if they really thought that through because I mean the only facial hair I have is my eyebrows, and even that I find to be difficult to apply. So finish is neither matte nor greasy, so it does have a nice finish. It's not one of those that's going to look terribly greasy on your skin, so it has that going for it. It behaves okay under makeup. I do find that my makeup kind of starts to break down a little bit, especially where I have like my smile lines, and I just really don't enjoy wearing this, to be honest. Whether I'm wearing makeup or not, I can kind of feel it on my skin. It feels heavy, even though, like I said, it's not really overly greasy. It just feels heavy and thick, and I just don't like wearing it, to be honest. It also, if I'm wearing it again on a no makeup day, I do notice that it actually does settle into the fine lines of my under eyes and my eyelids, my smile lines, the whiteness. It just looks icky. So unlike the Derma E one, I feel like I actually can still wear it. Like, it is usable. It's just not, it's not my favorite. It wouldn't be my first choice out of all these by any means. It does contain some natural fragrance ingredients, and those are lime oil, mint leaf oil, and sage leaf extract. And then it also contains and I might be pronouncing this wrong, limonene and linalool. I'll put this on the screen because I don't know. But those are all fragrant, like plant extracts and things like that. So if you do have sensitive skin, you probably will want to stay away from this one. So there's that one. Definitely not my favorite. Bummer because it is the most affordable per ounce of all, but it's not good. Okay, another one. Now this one's like kind of right in the middle for me. This is my number 4 of 6. This is the Mineral Fusion SPF 40 Moisturizer. I really like that it has SPF 40, so it has a slightly higher SPF than a lot of these. Now this is the one that I said is kind of an exception to the $20 rule. It does retail at full price for $24.99, but a lot of places you can get it cheaper than that. Like I think on Vitacost it's only $17, and where I got it at the grocery outlet it was only like 12 bucks. So it really varies. But the other great thing is that this comes with the most product of all of these. It has 3.4 fluid ounces. So based off of that $24.99 retail price, the cost per ounce of this is $7.35 per ounce, which is right on par with a lot of these. So I do still think that it's a good bang for your buck. And you can find it on Amazon, DRUGSTORE, Vitacost, iHerb, Mineral Fusion's website. This is a mineral sunscreen as well. It has titanium dioxide 7.5% and zinc oxide 5%. The application of this one is kind of similar, you'll see, to the Andalou Naturals Men one. It does go on with quite a bit of a white cast, goes on very thick, and it does take some work to blend in. But I find that the final result, once it's blended in, looks a lot nicer than the Andalou one because it does have a slight white cast, but it kind of dissipates a little bit more and it's not quite as noticeable on me as the Andalou one. So that I like about it. I actually think I'm running low on this because I've been using it. This is the one I've had for the longest of all of these, and I have used it quite a bit. The thing that really drew me in on this one is that it claims to be really good under makeup. One of the claims, it says, well, protecting and age-defying, hydrating, and makeup ready. So it says that you're supposed to wait 3 to 5 minutes for any whiteness to dissipate and follow with your foundation or primer. So they claim that this is really good under makeup. I don't think it would be for everyone because this has a very, very dewy finish. Extremely dewy, probably the dewiest of all, but some people like that. I don't mind it actually. I kind of am starting to really like the look of very dewy skin on myself, but I know there was a time when I had oily skin, I hated that kind of a finish on my skin. So it's really kind of a personal preference thing, but just know that it's very thick and it will look very dewy. Your skin's gonna look super hydrated with this on. So some people are gonna like that, some people aren't. And under makeup, it's not terrible, but it's also not great. Like I do notice my makeup kind of starts to break down, most likely due to the fact that it just has such a dewy, borderline greasy kind of a finish and texture to it. So not my favorite for under makeup, but it's also not terrible. It kind of just depends on my mood. Most of the time I do like a really hydrated base, so it's not bad for those days. It does have a kind of light botanical scent is how I would describe it, and it does contain some natural fragrance ingredients, and those are rosemary leaf oil, cedarwood bark oil, and geranium flower oil. So once again, if you have sensitive skin and you're sensitive to like those kinds of botanical extracts and things like that, you're probably gonna wanna stay away from this one. Now getting into my top 3. Now my top 3, I have to say, they're kind of close. They all came kind of close and it was hard to pick a winner. So this is my number 3 of 6, and we're getting into the ones that I actually do really like and that I think would work for the most people. So this one is the Acure Radically Rejuvenating SPF Day Cream. This has SPF 30. At full price, I think this one is $18.99, but you can find it for as low as $13 on some places. And it comes with 1.7 fluid ounces of product. So at full price, the cost per ounce is $11.17. That actually, I think, is the highest cost per ounce out of all of these. So just keep that in mind. This one you can find at Target, Amazon, which is where I bought it, Thrive Market, Vitacost, iHerb, Grove Collaborative, and Acure's website. This is another mineral sunscreen. The active ingredient on this one is just zinc oxide 15.5%. Application-wise, this is why this one ranked a little bit lower than my 2 favorites. This is weird to blend in. It takes a long time, and I found the best way to blend it in is to do a couple of thinner layers of it as opposed to just one giant layer, which is what I usually do. I usually do one giant layer and then a little bit more on top of that to really make sure I've covered everything. But with this one, I feel like it's better to just do a couple of light layers because it just kind of glides around and doesn't really sink in. You really have to work at it to get it to sink in, especially when you're trying to apply a lot at once. So it does take some work to blend in, but not quite in the same way as the Andalou and the Mineral Fusion ones. It's not that it's thick and heavy, it's just that it takes a while to just like sink into your skin. So you will be kind of rubbing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but eventually it does finally sink in, and it actually has a really nice finish once it does. It's really one of those that's kind of right in the middle. It's neither super matte nor super greasy. One odd thing though is as it dries down, it starts to feel super sticky, but not in a greasy way, not like the Mineral Fusion one that I was describing. It kind of feels like you're rubbing Elmer's glue into your skin. It's weird. It's a weird experience, but once it kind of dries down, that's not as noticeable. So it's just kind of a weird feeling, but it's not, I don't really feel like it has any negative effects on the way that it looks or the way that it wears. So just something to note because it kind of freaked me out the first time. I was like, why does it feel so sticky? But it, you know, after it kind of sinks in for like 10 or 15 minutes, you're fine. So weird, but not a big deal in my opinion. Very, very slight white cast, but nowhere near as extreme as even the Mineral Fusion one. I can't say for sure, and I don't want to make any assumptions for those of you with deeper skin tones, because I haven't been able, I mean, I can only go off of my experience. Anything else I'm just assuming, but I have a feeling if you have a much deeper skin tone than mine, you might notice a little bit more of a white cast than I do, but I feel like the white cast is pretty slight. Like I said, the finish is kind of right in between. It's not super matte, it's not super greasy. I've noticed some very, very slight pilling with this one, especially on days, on like no makeup days. If I go and like rub my face or I rub the area around my eyes, I might see a little bit of pilling, but it's nowhere near as bad as the Derma E one. Underneath makeup, it's pretty good, but I have noticed sometimes that by the end of the day, my makeup can look a little bit dry when I have this on. So that's just my experience. It probably depends a lot on, you know, what kind of foundation you're wearing and what your skin type is, but that's just been my experience. So it's not my all-time favorite for under makeup, but the really good thing about this one is that it doesn't really have a scent. And to my knowledge, it doesn't contain any fragrance ingredients. The only one I'm not sure about is the Blue Tansy Flower Oil. I don't know if that acts as fragrance or not, and I don't know if, I mean, anything could irritate you, just, you know, people have all kinds of allergies to things, but that's the only ingredient I wasn't sure of. Everything else looks really good. Oh, another thing to note, it does contain coconut oil, and I know that some people are sensitive to that. I haven't noticed it breaking me out. I really haven't noticed any of these breaking me out. Unless you know that you're sensitive to coconut oil or that Blue Tansy Flower Oil, this would probably be one of your best bets if you have sensitive skin, because it doesn't have any of those crazy like geranium flower oil or like lime oil. Those are things that I think would probably not be great for sensitive skin. And keep in mind, this goes without saying, but I'm not a dermatologist. I'm really not a skincare ingredient expert. I'm just saying these are things that I've kind of learned and picked up on as I've done more research. And the place that I went to look up ingredients is the Paula's Choice Beautypedia. Or no, not the Beautypedia, the Ingredient Dictionary. They have pretty much any ingredient under the sun that you could find in skincare except for a few. Like I don't think they had the Blue Tansy oil in there, but most ingredients that you would find in any of these products are listed in their ingredient dictionary, and that's how I found information about which ones might be irritating and which ones are like good. This is my number 3. The reason why it didn't rank higher is because the application is a little bit weird, and my 2 favorites are a lot easier to apply. My number 1 and my number 2 were like neck and neck. It was hard for me to pick which one I liked the best. My number 2 was the Ulta Beauty Mineral Matte Tinted Face Lotion. This has SPF 30 as well. This retails for $9.99, so it's one of the most affordable ones on this list, and you're getting 2 fluid ounces, so that comes out to right around $5 per ounce. Still not quite as good of a cost per ounce as the Andalou Men one, but this one's way nicer. So this one is probably the least accessible because it's only available in Ulta stores and on Ulta's website. So if you don't have access to either of those, maybe, you know, wherever you live, whatever country you live in, this might be you have the least options for where you can purchase this. So That is one downside. This is a mineral sunscreen, as the title suggests, and it contains titanium dioxide 3% and zinc oxide 3%. This one does say that it's water resistant 80 minutes. This one is very easy to apply. I find that it blends in really quickly and easily. It doesn't feel thick or sticky. It's just a really nice, really easy to apply. If I'm in a hurry, I'm reaching for either this one or my number one, simply because of the ease of application. Because it is tinted, it doesn't have a white cast. Now, one of the downsides to any tinted sunscreen is, I mean, they always say universal tint, but I mean, this one doesn't say that, but I really wish that brands would start coming out with like at least a light, a medium, and a deep when they come out with tinted sunscreens. This actually can tend to look a little bit dark and a little bit orange on my skin, but it doesn't bother me that much. Actually, when I'm self-tanned, it kind of helps to match my face to the rest of my body. And when I'm not self-tanned, it's really not so drastic of a difference that I can't make it work. It does, you know, it blends in. I always bring it down my neck anyway. The only place where I've noticed it looking kind of iffy is around my hairline. Sometimes there will be kind of like an orangey line right there, which isn't the most attractive ever. But if I work at it in the hairline as I'm blending it in, it doesn't look as bad. So I just have to be kind of careful with that. Keep that in mind if your skin tone is a lot more fair than mine, or I really can't say for sure about deeper skin tones. I don't know. If you have a deeper skin tone and you've tried any of these sunscreens, let us know about the cast or anything, but I don't know, because I almost feel like, because it's not like a chalky tint like a lot of tinted sunscreens have been for me, it's almost more gel-like, so I kind of feel like it might blend in fine if you have a darker skin tone, but I don't know. That's just my assumption. So the tint, it really doesn't provide any coverage for me, but it kind of does it just like nicely even out and almost blur my skin tone. This one does have a very matte finish, so if you're looking for a matte sunscreen, this is going to be your best friend. It really is matte, but I don't find it to be nearly as drying as some of the other matte sunscreens that I've tried. I also tried a tinted mineral sunscreen from Bare Republic that was also very matte, and this one I don't feel like is quite as drying. But I do, if I'm having any dry patches of skin, this is one where I'm going to want to layer another moisturizer underneath, just so that I am getting enough moisture on my skin. So how it behaves under makeup, it kind of depends on what makeup I'm wearing. I've actually didn't like the way this looked under my Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation, which is kind of surprising because it's my favorite foundation, and it's usually not a very finicky foundation, but I felt like my skin just looked crazy dry and just like so flat and matte when I wore that foundation over this. So that was not my favorite way to wear it, but I do like this better underneath the Pacifica, a light foundation. That's like a much dewier foundation. It kind of, again, like not everyone uses the same foundations, not everyone has the same skin type, so you should probably just, if it sounds like something you're gonna like, you should probably just test it out for yourself, because I can't say how it's gonna interact with, you know, XYZ products. But I do really like this on no makeup days, because it just like gives my skin a nice like evenness, and I kind of like the matte finish. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of like a cream highlight on top to revive my skin and give my skin a little bit more life, because it is very matte. But I do find myself reaching for this a lot on no makeup days, just because I just think it looks nice on my skin. It does have a very light, clean scent. If you're familiar with the scent of the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir Foundation, it smells really similar to that, and it does contain fragrance as an ingredient, like just fragrance, so we don't even know what that means. We don't know what that is. That could mean anything. So if you have sensitive skin and you stay away from fragrance in your skincare for that reason, you're probably going to want to stay away from this one, just because it has literal fragrance in it. I really like it. I love how affordable it is, and I could see this being one that I do repurchase. None of these I feel like are completely foolproof. Like I feel like I wear some of them for different purposes than others. Like this one I like on my no makeup days, and my number one I like under most makeup, but not all. I still feel like I haven't really found my perfect sunscreen, but at least I have some options now, and I feel like I have an option for every occasion, so that's good. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, my number one of all 6 that I've tried, or at least of all 6 that I'm reviewing today, is the Supergoop Everyday Sunscreen. Now, Supergoop is a brand, they make a lot of sunscreen products, and a lot of their sunscreens are well over the price point that I was looking at, but one of you guys pointed out to me that their everyday sunscreen retails for $19. So that was kind of right in my range. And this comes in a lot of different sizes, and this is actually a face and body sunscreen, but I got the 2.4 fluid ounce size, which is the perfect size for me to use on my face. Like I said, this retails for $19, and so it comes out to around $7.92 per ounce. So pretty much in line with a lot of these. And you can buy this at Sephora, on Amazon, which is where I bought it, DRUGSTORE, and the Supergoop website. Of all 6, this is the only chemical sunscreen of all of them, and the active ingredients are avobenzone 3%, homosalate 10%, octinoxate 7.5%, and octisalate 5%. So to the best of my knowledge, that it is reef safe, but yeah. Oh, and I don't know if I said, this is SPF 50, so it's the highest SPF of all of these. This is the one I've been reaching for a lot, especially on days where I'm going to be going outside. It is water and sweat resistant, 80 minutes. This is really easy and really quick to blend in. It feels like I'm just applying like a lightweight moisturizer to my skin. Because this is a chemical sunscreen, it's not going to have any white cast, and that's kind of why it ended up in the first place spot for me, is because that means it's going to work for the most skin tones. The finish is slightly dewy. It is going to give you a very hydrated, dewy look to your skin, so it's not going to be for everyone. If you're wanting a really matte finish, this isn't it, but I really like the way that looks on me, and to me this reminds me a lot of the Paula's Choice, I think it's SPF 50 Youth Extending Daily Hydrating Fluid. That is one from theirs that I've really liked. Feels really similar to me. You know, it goes on very lightweight, blends in really easily. That one I think also is a chemical sunscreen, and it does give a little bit of a shine to your skin, but you know, if you have dry skin or you like that kind of a look, that's, you know, that's a good thing. By the end of the day, if I'm wearing this like on a no makeup day, my skin's gonna look pretty greasy by the end of the day, but I don't mind that at this point in my life. This is the only one where I noted this. I apply sunscreen right up under my eyes. This is the only one that has caused any amount of like stinging or burning to my eyes, and it's not every time, and it's usually towards the end of the day when I'm noticing that. I don't think that's usually as much of a problem with mineral sunscreens, but I think with chemical sunscreens, that's just more likely to be a problem if you're putting it near your eye area. It does have a light kind of botanical scent, and it does contain some natural fragrance, and those ingredients are rosewood oil, orange peel oil, and lemon peel oil. So once again, not fragrance free. This one came out on top for me. I find myself reaching for the Ulta one and the Supergoop one kind of interchangeably depending on what I'm looking for that day. If I want a more matte finish, the Ulta one is the one that I reach for, and if I want a more hydrated and kind of dewy finish, the Supergoop one is the one that I reach for. And then the Acure one, I don't find myself reaching for as much, even though I do really like it. Just because it takes longer to blend in, and honestly most days I'm not wanting to spend a long time fussing with my sunscreen. Like I want it to be easy to apply, and that's where these two come in for me. So I think if you have sensitive skin and you're sensitive to fragrance of any kind, the Acure one is going to be your best friend. This one, to my knowledge, is fragrance free. This is probably the one that you're going to want to go for. If you have oily skin or you just like a more matte finish, I think you're probably going to want to go with the Ulta one. Just be aware that the tint probably isn't going to work for everyone, but it could be worth a try, and it could be worth even going into Ulta, and I don't know if they have a tester of this. They should. I feel like if they don't, you should at least be able to ask, like, hey, can I test this on my hand? Go in there and just test it on the back of your hand and see how the tint looks on you. I think it's a tint that's gonna work for a lot of people, but not everyone. So that is kind of a bummer. And then if you're wanting something a little bit more hydrating, I would say either go for the Supergoop or the Mineral Fusion if it sounds like it might be up your alley. If you like something very, very hydrating and dewy and you want a mineral one, go with the Mineral Fusion. But if you want something that's more of a chemical sunscreen, or if you want something that you know is not going to have a white cast, the Supergoop is a great option. And I think that the Acure one could work for a lot of different skin types because it's not overly dewy and it's not overly matte. It's kind of just right in the middle. So this might be a really safe bet for a lot of people, especially because it doesn't have a terrible white cast. The Andalou Naturals one, if you're... I'm trying to think of who this would work for. I just really wouldn't recommend this one. I think that aside from the Derma E one, I think that this one would be liked by the fewest people. You know, I feel like a lot of men in my life don't even wear sunscreen every day on their face. So if you're wanting to make it easy for them, I don't think this is the way to go. I think that this is gonna just be a hassle for a lot of people. If you're trying to convince someone that sunscreen can be their friend, the Supergoop one is probably gonna be their best bet because it's just the easiest to apply and it doesn't do anything crazy. So hopefully there's something for everyone here. I really do think, like, you know, everyone has such different skin types, but I think it's really important to find a sunscreen that you like wearing and that you like applying, because then you're just going to be that much more likely to wear it every day. I think the only other drugstore one I've tested again was that Bare Republic one, and I think that one was similar to the Ulta, and I think if the Ulta one sounds like it would be too dark for you, but you like the sound of a tinted mineral sunscreen, go with the Bare Republic. I'll link it down below. I think that one is really similar to this one. It's got a different texture, but it has a lighter tint, so that might work for you if you have a more fair skin tone. Like, I love the Paula's Choice sunscreens. If you don't mind spending a little bit more money, I don't think you can go wrong with any of the Paula's Choice ones. They're just, most of them are like $30+, which is just more than I'm willing to spend on a sunscreen. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this video, because I personally have been on the hunt for a more affordable daily SPF for my face, and I feel like a lot of us are on a similar journey right now, so I thought hopefully it would be helpful. So if you plan on trying any of these that I mentioned today, let me know which one sounds like it would be up your alley, or if you have any more that you'd like to recommend to me or to anyone else. Definitely leave a comment. I'm sure that would be much appreciated by everyone, especially if you have a different skin tone than mine and you have had different experiences with either the white cast or the tint or anything like that with any of these. Please do let us know. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this video. I have been so into sunscreen lately. I think it's such a fun topic. I know it's boring to a lot of people, but I think it's fun. So I hope someone else found it fun too, but if not, maybe it was at least informative. So if you did enjoy this video, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. And I think that's all for today. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.